see these monsters or these biological, hybrids or whatever you want to call them throughout the series, or is it pretty much in the beginning and then you go on to other things? Because you've got different titles, of course, to your books.
The creatures are throughout. The only one that is consistent in all of the books is the Bigfoot creature. All of the others, it's an initial encounter or a sighting or something, and then that is dealt with and it's moved on. They might be mentioned later, but not additional encounters with them.
Yes. All right. And I remember they can obviously look on Amazon and your website to find out the covers to the books. But wasn't the first cover on the beginning, wasn't that a Sasquatch on the cover of that book?
Yes. I had a friend who's made this actually drew that cover for me.
That is a great.
The plan is to actually do an illustrated field guide of all the creatures, and he will be the illustrator for it.
Oh, that would be a companion for all the novels. Then that'd be cool, really nice.
Yeah, that's in the works. It will probably be a while before that is out, but that is definitely in the works.
Yeah. Well, do you want to name your artist friend and give her a little credit for what she's done so far?
I won't, simply because he is full-time active duty law enforcement, and that he prefers to kind of keep his name off of things. Because of where he works.
Yeah, I see. I understand. Which makes that kind of doubly interesting. That obviously he's a fantastic artist and also a law enforcement officer at the same time. That's really great. I think that's kind of like a little intrigue there going on behind the scenes.
He actually sent me a picture of a painting he did today. He's doing a series of the Avengers for Children's Hospital, and he sent me a picture of the Captain America that he painted.
So, wow! So he's a busy artist. Then is it this kind of thing that he would be able to show at various art shows, or is he just always trying to stay behind the scenes when he does this at this point?
Right now, it's a little more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he's expecting to retire in the next, couple years, and he's really hoping that he can kind of transition over to art.
Yeah. Wow. You got to do what you really enjoy, because it's so rewarding, as you found out, of course, in your writing. I just thought of something. The idea that this is a county sheriff in a situation that has some strange things going on in their jurisdiction. Did you ever watch, or have you ever watched those Longmire series on Netflix with the county sheriff Longmire?
I loved Longmire, and I do not have Netflix. So when it switched from the network it was on to Netflix, I was heartbroken.
Yes.
So I missed like the last 2 seasons of it. It's like, I need to know what happened.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. And the characters are so great on that show. I would imagine they might have inspired you a little bit with some of the background, as far as you put into your characters as well.
I'm sure they did. I pull inspiration from everything that I see and I hear and I read and that I've done, people that I've met. I'm sure that all of that has been incorporated in some way, even if I'm not conscious that I've done it.
Yes. Yeah, I'm assuming that we all do that, throughout our creative lives, as we bring in our experiences and the kind of the things that we've always thought would be important to show our readers and as an artist, show the people that watch see their paintings and those kinds of things. But gosh, this is very exciting for a person like yourself, I would imagine, to be actual published author. How did you actually go about getting that book from off your computer and actually into a hardcover, or a softcover book, and out to the public? How does that work for you?
Sorry, I'm hearing footsteps beside my car.
Oh no!
And I'm kind of looking to see what it is, but I don't see anything. So that might even be a little more disturbing.
Yes.
I really wasn't sure I was going to do anything with it when I wrote it. It was more of, I just needed something to do. And I gave it to a friend and said, will you please read this and tell me honestly what you think? And she said, I love it. You need to publish this. And I started looking into submitting to publishing houses for full publish. And most of them would not accept it. They just flat said, we are not accepting any submissions of any type.
Yeah.
So then I moved on to self-publish, and I looked into it, and that's something you have to pay for to have it done. And I was completely clueless on how to do any publishing. I had no idea what formatting was. I had no idea the process for designing covers or anything like that. So I went ahead and I did pay to have the first one published. And I used Archway Publishing, which is a branch of Simon & Schuster.
Ah.
And with them, I had to pick the least expensive publishing package, which for most people would not be that big of a deal. But for me, even coming up with that amount of money was tough. But I went ahead and I did it, and I published it, and they were great. They did it print, they did it in ebook, they did the distribution, they did, finished the cover, they did everything for me. The one thing they did not do was editing, but I had an edited copy, so I was fortunate. So I didn't have to worry about that. And then I've been sitting on the second book for almost a year. For about a year. And I can't afford to pay to have it published. So it's like, what am I going to do? Do I just ignore this? So I went to Amazon and looked, and you can publish for free. They give you the royalties and give you the templates and say, this is how you do it, and best of luck to you. And it's like, this is my answer. This is how I'm going to get the rest of the series out, because I had been having people ask, when is the next book coming out? When is the next book? And it's like, I don't know. It's done, but I don't know. And each book kind of has a cliffhanger ending until the last book. So, you get to that end and it's like, what happens next? So my answer was to use Amazon and to publish that way.
Well, I think that is very smart to do. Matter of fact, that seems to be the wave of the future with publishing. I'll tell you some of my horror stories as well, is that, I probably had at least 100 rejection letters, when I went out to the traditional, publishing houses to try to send manuscripts to. And it gets a little disconcerting after a while when you're right. You get the letter back, for one thing, is even an exciting thing because most of them don't even send you a letter back. But if you do, then they say they're not accepting manuscripts, or a few of them asked for maybe, 2 or 3 pages out of a chapter. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but every once in a while you'll actually get someone who wants to read something that you read.
Right. Then you have to pick. Usually it's like 1,000 words. Send us 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Well, that 1,000 words does not explain a book. It just can't do it.
Exactly. And which part of the story do you pick out of your, manuscript to send them for 1,000 words? That will drive you nuts right there, trying to figure out what they might be looking for and what you should send them.
Exactly.
And the idea of Amazon, is really a great way to go. Did you perchance use the CreateSpace, format that Amazon kind of uses as well to actually create the book itself, or how did you actually come up with the format of your book?
I use CreateSpace. And the advantage, one thing I did not know about Amazon, you can actually do expanded distribution with Amazon. Right now, my first 3 books, all 3 of them, including the 2 that I published with Amazon, are available on barnesandnoble.com.
Yes.
So, how could I not, how can you go wrong with that? And by doing the expanded, it's still free, and bookstores can order it, libraries, schools, private businesses can stock it. It makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah, it does. It is just amazing, the distribution that you can do, or at least have available to anyone, even though you can't put out a whole lot of money up front. You can, even buy copies of your own book at a very low discounted rate. If you want to, pass some out, or you want to sell them to, other people, you can actually get, a nice box of books that you get to keep in your closet if you'd like.
Right, and I keep books because I do sell them on my website separately from Amazon and the different links that I have set up. But I also do events and Comic-Cons and things like that. So having that as an option is something I had to have.
And how have you found it being a published author now? Is it kind of exciting or fun to be able to get contacted by some folks who, like myself, I want to interview you over my radio show, or I'll bet some people like you to come and maybe do some book signings at bookstores and, or like you said, conferences as well. Is that been fun for you?
It feels really strange. I'm not used to being in the public eye. Being in law enforcement, being in emergency services, you go do what you need to do and you leave. You don't have a lot of press. You don't have a lot of attention normally. And to be contacted to do things like this show and to do book signings and going to Comic-Cons, it feels very, very strange.
Well, let me ask you this, Liz, is how do you handle it when a fan comes up to you and wants you to sign their book? That's got to be a flattering thing.
I will let you know when that happens.